episode 2 of the ChitChat Tabletop podcast. I'm your humble host, Maggibot, and here with me is my co-host, Jason Hancock. Hi, Jason.
Hello. How are you, and how's everybody out on the interwebs?
I am good, I think.
Good, you think?
It's getting a little crazy in my job. It gets a little crazy in retail for the winter, so you can start feeling it literally getting more stressful by the day. But it sounds like yours is kind of winding down. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's starting to wind down, and we're kind of settled into the house for the most part, so I've actually got a couple games into play. Woohoo!
Ooh! I have been sneaking games in around here or there, but not getting my fair share in.
I'm not getting a lot, but I am getting more than what I was a month ago, so I am happy with that.
It's all baby steps, right, into actual games. So I have been playing a lot of Magic lately, though, which is nice.
I have never been big into Magic.
No, not at all?
No. At that time when Magic first came out, I was into the Star Wars CCG and Netrunner, and that was enough of a money sink for me that I don't know why. I just had no interest with Magic. I really liked the, of course, the Star Wars world, but I really liked how the CCG worked, that you didn't need a counter, you didn't need dice. It was all literally contained within the cards.
Sure.
And I thought that was just really neat and really liked it. And then Netrunner was just a cool concept and it way ahead of its time.
Oh, and I think Netrunner is a fantastic game. Magic really hooked me because there was like databases of cards. And yes, this exists for other CCGs now, but like there are tens of thousands of cards and I can look them all up and look up stuff by keywords and just deck build to my little heart's content. And it's just so fun.
And see, I always sucked at the actual deck building part, so.
I typically will build decks until, like, I'll tune them until they work, and then I get bored with them. No. Right? As soon as I'm playing a deck, and I'm like, yeah, everything's working, and it does exactly what I wanted to do. So what's my next deck?
Right. Yeah. Just never been a big Magic. I mean, I see where the appeal is. In fact, I've played Pokemon card game technically more than I have Magic because of the Game Boy game.
Because of the Game Boy game?
Yeah, the Pokemon trading card game. It was actually a Game Boy game.
Okay, I think I've seen it. I've played a Nintendo DS Pokemon game, and that was like X or Y, and it came out a while back. But it was my first Pokemon, so.
Oh, yeah. No, they actually did back before. In fact, it was I think it was on the original Game Boy. I would have to look because it's sitting right over there. But it was the first set of the Pokemon cards, and it was the actual trading card game, except for as Ash, you ran around to different gyms. And so it had a little bit of RPG-ish aspect to it, too. So, yeah, and you capture Pokemon and you play the cards. And, yeah, it was really cool. Really liked it.
Yeah, I dig that because I know so many people that have that background in Pokemon, but I just don't have it. They have all these loyalties to specific generations of Pokemon and trainers and colors and all this other stuff. And I'm playing Pokemon Go just like, hey, look what I found. You know, just like dorkily running around looking at stuff.
Right.
Well, the game is fun, though. Yeah,
it is. Well, at that time, Pokemon hit as my kids were 8, 9, 10, 11. So that was like, yeah. That's what they grew up on was Pokemon.
So you might as well just play it yourself.
Exactly.
No big deal.
It was probably one of their Game Boys.
That's real nice, Dad.
Right?
You're like, you're grounded? Give me your Game Boy.
I had to share my PlayStation. That's only fair they had to share their Game Boy, right?
I feel like that's true. It teaches everyone how to share. So this episode, we are going to be talking about the upcoming Spiel in Essen, because it's a big deal.
A little bit.
Lots of new games. Oh. And so Eric Martin of Board Game Geek, he does like a big preview, and he writes out all of the games and how they're planning on being sold at the fair and what they're doing and videos and links to everything. So I believe you have, and I definitely have, I went through 524 titles.
I think there's like 25 pages. I don't know how many titles, but I think the geek list is like 25 pages.
There are more than 524 now. I looked at this like 2 weeks ago, and he's been adding stuff ever since.
Wow.
So I think he's up above 600 now. I'm checking. But I basically went through and I divided stuff out for stuff for work, stuff for goofy, like weird stuff I should check out, like from companies that are doing something unique. And then I made a giant list of stuff I need to play in my life.
Yeah, a huge list.
Yeah. Well, it's not that big. I limited it to 40.
Nice. I just kind of went through that list, and some of the ones I recognized I grabbed because I've heard people talk about it and kind of looked over them. Some of them are expansions to games I already like.
At the time of this recording, there are 692 items on the Spiel Essen preview, so that means I have another 100 or so to go through, which is okay. Yeah. But we're gonna take the crop of stuff that I already looked through because there is some really amazing stuff. Have you purchased any games from this list yet?
Well, technically, because a couple of them I kickstarted. So the Networks is on the list, which I just played with Tiff and Steve on the streaming last night. Which
I saw it after the fact. I didn't get to see the stream.
It should be up later this week. So by the time this drops, it should be up there on the One Tires channel.
Cool. Yeah, they've been doing some cool like streaming stuff lately. Tiff and Steve did Tides of Time and Tides of Madness the other day, and like they did Viticulture, I think, and just a couple others. I like you just like happening to be online and catching some of them. It's really been fun.
They're fun to hang out with. Great, amazing people. So I was happy that they invited me over, and much happier I get to play Networks with them. So.
Yeah, the Network I haven't played it since I did a review a while back with the prototype, so I'm excited to see the actual finished version. I haven't seen it yet.
It looks great.
Oh, I saw pictures. It just looked so beautiful.
It does. And it's got Gil's unique, weird humor all over it, so it's great.
Well, and a lot of that was all, like crowdsourced when he was trying to think of titles and stuff for the Networks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. It really did come together so well, that project.
So technically that one, other than that, I want to pick up Terraforming Mars. I don't know if that's considered an Essen release since it's actually out here.
It's on the Spiel preview, and I happen to be sitting in front of a copy right now. So I picked it up from work. There's a cool promo going around. If you buy it from a store that did the pre-order, you can get a little like cool asteroids promo. So
sweet.
Yeah.
That is on my list for sure, and I have not picked it up. I saw it at CloudCap when I was there Sunday, but I already had a game sitting behind the desk for me, so I had to wait.
What game was it?
Well, the new Pandemic Cthulhu, of course, because it's Cthulhu.
Sure.
It's Pandemic, so.
I look forward to hearing what the difference is between that and regular Pandemic, so.
It looks like with the sanity, I just kind of read through the rules a little bit. I haven't got a chance to get it to the table because it's half covered in Wizards and Dragons at the moment. But it looks a lot of the same. The artwork is gorgeous, and I love the dark feel of it, like Arkham Horror. Very Arkham Horror-ish looking, as opposed to what Eldritch Horror looks very bland to me as a board and artwork. Arkham Horror, I love the art, and this reminds me a lot of that.
Okay.
For gameplay, it looks a lot of the same, and we will get back on the next podcast after I've got a game of it in to see exactly mechanically how it is. I know there's a couple little things.
There has to be a reason for people to rebuy it, right?
Cthulhu, duh.
Reason number one, Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, right?
I'm glad I don't have that particular need in my life.
I know.
That costs you a lot of money, I bet.
It can, yes. But I am a sucker for Cthulhu and amazing art, so what can I say?
I think it's great, but now you're missing on Terraforming Mars.
I will not miss nothing. I know people that have it.
I know Tiffany has it.
Yeah, she does. We've already talked about playing it, maybe even streaming it. So
I have my first game of it scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I run a little like Facebook group in Seattle, Seattle area board gamers for anyone on Facebook. And it happens every once in a while. Someone gets on there and just like, hey guys, I don't have a gaming group. What do I do? And I try and encourage people like, hey, maybe set up a game and invite people to it, blah, blah, blah. And every once in a while I just go, F it. So I set up a meetup for the Facebook group tomorrow. Should be fun.
Awesome. I do know one of the ladies in my meetup group as well as picking it up. So it's there. I'm
just
not worried.
Just a parasite.
Right.
Terraforming Mars parasite. It's good because it's heavy and expensive. So
Yeah. So for you, what are you looking for on the Essen? What's one of the ones?
Well, the big number one underlined thing that I really want to try is the Oracle of Delphi.
Oh, yes.
It is the new Steffenfeld this year, and Steffenfeld does have another couple titles this year. It was like the Castle of Burgundy card game and stuff, but this is big Feldy-Feld. This is all of the mechanisms and things and cubes to push around and lots of little tiles and bits and stuff. So that's being done by Pegasus Spiel out in Europe, but it's being done by Tasty Minstrel Games here in the States. I cannot wait to see this game, and there's only like a smidgen of information right now.
Yes.
There was a German language playthrough, and a friend of mine who speaks a little German recorded themselves like telling me what the person was saying and sent me the MP3. So I have a vague idea of how to play.
Awesome.
I am so excited to get my hands on a big chunky old Feld.
And it looks like it's a different theme than what he's usually tied to. So that's cool to see that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is something he wanted to do and something that another person was like, do you want to do this theme? They don't often really interact with the games unless you go deep. You logic it out of why this thing actually has to do with this other thing. And I don't know that tells you it's an immersive thematic experience or not, but I don't care.
And to me, even with Euros and the dry Euros that are quote unquote not thematic, the more I have to use my imagination to make the mechanics or make it feel thematic, to me is even more thematic because you actually had to use some of that brain power to make it all work thematically. Not that a game has to be thematic for me to like it, obviously, because Castles of Burgundy is one of my favorite games, and there's not much theme there.
You're building a network of buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what the theme is there.
Right, exactly. But that's what I mean. But whenever you're playing a game and you're doing stuff and you're kind of off the cuff saying, oh yeah, well this happened because of this and this, and you're kind of making stuff up as you go, to me it's a thematic experience. Kind of like we go back to the New Bedford, like you said with the whale, with the whale watching. You made your own thing. To me, that is a thematic experience.
Well, and I like Rado, like Richard Ham, he'll do that. He's really good about that. He was playing, I think it was, do you remember the Prosperity game that came out a couple years ago? It was like a Knizia, I think.
Yes.
And he, in his video, in his final thoughts, he was like, well, let me tell you about all these buildings. And he was like pulling out the names of the buildings and actually explaining what they were. And for me, I never would have even thought to do that. And for him, it was very important to make sure that it all worked thematically. And so he actually went and researched all the building names. I thought that was amazing.
Oh, that was really cool. Yeah.
For me, the theme is kind of the last thing I worry about.
It depends on what experience I'm looking for at that night and what game group I'm in.
Totally.
If I am in the mood for a thematic game, then I want a Dice Chucker, Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, if that's what I'm in the mood for. If I'm in the mood for something heavy, then theme, it definitely takes a back seat to that.
Yeah, I think for me, the themes that kind of tickle my fancy, like the Bloody Inn kind of got me. It was a pretty funny game.
I thought it was pretty hilarious. That.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I need to play that.
It's just so light and fun.
Yeah, I know, but it's such a dreary and dark theme. That was right up my alley.
It's Halloween soon. Gotta play the Bloody Inn. Right?
Yes. Anyway, sorry, cut you off there.
No, that's okay. So other games, I mean, there are a literal ton of these, but some of them I found on the Spiel preview I was really excited about because I had backed a lot of them on Kickstarter. So I was going through the list and just going, oh yeah, that copy's already coming to me. Hey, that one too, and that one. So this Spiel I think is going to be less expensive for me than usual.
Because you've already paid for them.
Yeah, that money's spent.
Right.
I have at this time I have only bought 4 games from the Essen preview. I bought Honshu, which looks kind of straight up my alley. And Honshu is a trick-taking game where the tricks that you earn give you cards to build your map. And so you're actually building on a map to optimized for score. And it looks pretty.
That looks cool.
And the price is right. Like I have someone doing me a favor and bringing it back, so it was only €10, but I think if you just buy it from their website, it's only €14.
Oh,
which is not bad at all.
No, that's gorgeous though.
It's just so dang pretty.
And it's a trick-taking game.
And it's trick-taking and
a map build. Yeah.
Like as soon as it's trick-taking and blah blah blah, I'm probably gonna love it.
Right. Exactly.
Because there's a lot of trick-taking in the world. And then I can just play spades and be happy. But no, this looks really, really cool.
Damn it, I'm going to have to add that to my list.
What's next on your list?
Well, these are in no particular order other than tab from left to right. But this one kind of caught my attention because I haven't got to play the actual card game or the actual board game. To me, whenever somebody implements a dice game or a card game of something else that's already established, I'm always kind of interested if they can do it and can do it well. To me, it's like when somebody remakes a popular song or a song that I really like, can they do it in their own way and do it well? And
I know what game you're talking about.
Kingsport Festival, the card game.
We'll see.
Right? Exactly. I mean, once again, it's a Cthulhu theme, but it's a board game that somebody's done the card game, so I'm kind of curious how they can do it and if they can do it well. I enjoyed the Castles of Burgundy card game. Not my favorite of the two by any means, but it's still a fun, easier to set up, shorter game.
Right. But I don't know. It didn't save on table space and it wasn't short enough.
Yeah. No.
I'd much rather just play Castle of Burgundy, but...
No, and it didn't save on table space, so that was kind of a minus in a big way. If you're going to implement a board game into a card game, it can't take up the same amount of table, in my opinion.
I'm completely with you. But for Kingsport Festival, so I played Kingsburg like twice, maybe thrice, and I've played Kingsport Festival once.
Really?
And
didn't like it?
It's a lot of dice rolling there, Jason. It's a lot of dice. What I liked is that Kingsport Festival was a little kinder about your dice rolls. Like the Kingsburg base game, if you rolled a 1, it was just such a useless roll that without the expansion, that it was very, very punishing. Kingsport Festival felt a little less punishing for that. I wonder if the card game is going to be similar to like the Castles of Burgundy card game, where the dice on the cards didn't feel that bad.
And that was one of the things I didn't like about the Castles of Burgundy card game. I don't want dice on my cards. I want to roll dice.
It's so weird.
It's weird, yeah.
Just put something else on the card. You don't need dice anymore. You put a card there.
Right.
So
where Star Wars CCG, we kind of go back to that when you had the higher and lower numbers or you needed to do a skill check, the numbers were on there. So you didn't roll the dice, but it felt right the way they did it then. And the way Castles of Burgundy, the card game implemented that. Yeah, it just felt odd and out of place.
So if I could have one card mechanism turned into a mini game, so we're talking Kingsport Festival card game. The La Granja dice game is coming out. It's called No Siesta, and it's taking the dice mechanic from La Granja and making it into its own game. I want the Zango card game. I want their like goofy card mechanism made into its own little game. It was so fun. If you want to just highlight one little thing that could become into a really cool portable game, that's what I want.
Fair enough. I could see that. For you, next on the list.
So I want to talk about this one, but I don't have that much information. Is that bad? That's probably bad. Cottage Garden is coming out. This is a Uwe Rosenberg game. And what it sounded like to me, my impression of it, is that it's going to be a 1 to 4 player version of Patchwork with a few extra rules, which is exactly what I wanted Patchwork to be. Oh. So in Cottage Garden, you have a bunch of those little tiles that look just like the Patchwork tiles, and they go in a little circle thing, and you're picking them up and building out your cottage garden. But this one goes up to 4 players, which is super important for me because the Patchwork being 2-player only meant I could only play it online usually. And then it did feel like it maybe had an extra card mechanism or something, but I haven't read the rule book yet. It looks really fun though.
This looks cool. Yeah. I remember hearing about this, I think early in the year, and it just kind of fell wayside as far as talk.
Well, he has another title coming out that's way more buzz happening. Like the Feast for Odin game is getting way more attention. Cottage Garden like really caught my eye because Patchwork is so lovely and wonderful. I wanted it. I wanted a little bit more out of it, and I would be very, very happy if that's what this is.
This pretty much looks just like you said, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, it looks like Patchwork.
Yeah, it does. It looks like Patchwork, but like you said, it looks like some of the pieces are a little bit more intricate, it looks like. They're not quite as simple Tetris pieces. They look like they have a little bit more to have put them together.
And it looks like there's, like, relative, like... Patchwork doesn't actually give you any points for things lining up or doing any of that stuff, like Lee Mace or something. And this one, I feel like they maybe added some of that into that because you can see little pots and little cats and things like that. And so I wonder if those give you extra points for how you build them.
I hope so, because it's just, let's say, crossing over a line on each track awards bonus tokens that can fill in empty spaces or give you a better selection of the flower bed tiles.
So I think so.
Yeah. Gardener completes her 5th lap around the market. The game enters its last round. Play with most points for the completed garden.
Most points wins.
Yeah, this looks cool, and I love the artwork on this, too.
Yeah, and it's just so, like, serene and beautiful looking. I'm very excited about it.
I just hope it plays as well as 2 players as Patchwork does, being it goes to 4 for Sonya.
It's Uwe Rosenberg. It's going to work well at all player counts. I'm very snarky about a lot of things, but that is the one thing you can kind of rely on in this life.
Right.
Right? The man knows how to scale a game.
Yeah, he does. Exactly. And it'd be interesting. I don't see why you almost couldn't do Patchwork with just 2 Patchwork games. I'd be kind of curious now that I see that 1 to 4 if that's actually doable.
I would say that you probably could, but it is so perfectly, like, it's a well-oiled machine as is, so I don't want to mess with it.
Why not break it?
Not my job. Too many games to play out here in the world.
The next one I have here, and I'm not sure, this is on the preview list, but I hadn't heard anything about it, and it's a game I've never played, but it's one of those classic, quote-unquote, classic ones that everybody talks about you should play, and that's Shogun. And they're doing a big box version of it. I have 2 other big boxes, Fresco and Alhambra, that have not touched the expansions on any of them. So why I feel the need of another big box that I probably never touched the expansions on, I don't know. But this is one of those games that I really like to play. I don't know how often I'm going to get to play because it's that 3 to 5 players range, which if it doesn't have that 2-player makes it kind of difficult to get to the table sometimes, because even with running meetups and stuff, there's just so many games that everybody wants to play, but I am kind of curious about this. Well,
and so if I'm not mistaken, so there's Shogun that got rebranded as Akuza a while back, the WotC title, or the Avalon Hill title. I'm naming the wrong companies right now, but this Shogun is the, like, Wallenstein Shogun, right? The Dirk Hen, the guy that did Alhambra?
Yes. Yeah, Dirk Hen. Yeah.
So this is a very different game than those other ones.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's lots of Shoguns. I want to make sure we're talking the right one.
Yeah, this is the Queen Games one, designer, by Dirk Hen.
Okay. So I saw they had, like, the expansion was like Tenno's something. I saw that on the list as well. So I was surprised they're doing a reboot of either of those.
It's just one of those ones I've heard talk about and I would like to play.
It's not that long gone out of print. It was in print until like a year ago.
Was it?
Yeah. Or maybe our shop just had ancient copies. Ancient.
It is Queen Game, so you never know.
True enough. Well, and Rebel started getting better about reprinting their older titles, so... Well, that's cool. I've actually never played that, and Wallenstein is something I totally have access to. A friend of mine, Josh, plays it every year at the marathon I attend, and I could probably get a game whenever I wanted. I just haven't prioritized it.
Next on your list.
Let's talk... Okay, this is the weird one, because I don't know that much about it in a different way than Cottage Garden. Have you heard of Peak Oil?
This is by Gil Hova is actually publishing this.
Isn't this... so, like... Peak Oil has been through roller coasters upon roller coasters of, like, craziness, and the, like, different people involved with it have changed a million times. And as far as I know in the States, it's going to Later Games, the guys that just did Vast the Crystal Caverns.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Because I know that it's been through a million hands at this point.
Oh, so I thought Gil was picking it up to publish, wasn't he? Formal Ferret Games? Let me look here.
I don't know.
No, it says, no, you're right. It says Letter Games. Maybe he was just play testing it because I think they're in the same area.
I totally think he was involved. I know he's spoken about it, but it's like it's a draw the barrels out of the bag type of game to see what things you have access to, and certain barrel colors will do bad stuff to you. And it's one of those games I've heard about for, and at this point, years.
Yes.
And still never came out. So I was wondering if it ever would, and now it's on the Spiel preview for this year.
I haven't heard of any release dates for it. Like I said, the most I've heard about it is Gil's tweets on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew he was associated with it. I thought Formal Ferret Games was picking up, but obviously I am incorrect in that. So
it looks like on...
It says Two Tomatoes and Letter Games.
Well, and it looks like a little while back, Eric Martin in July this year, Eric Martin says that because of the success of Networks, which was absolutely mania, right? Like, yes. Networks went crazy. So Gil said he probably wouldn't have time to properly devote attention to it, so Later Games picked it up. So that's a good thing. But that'll be out in October, as far as I know.
Awesome. I did not see this on the preview list. Otherwise, it would have been on my list. So cool. This is one I am very interested in.
Well, and I like the weird, like, pull the stuff out of the bag to do the thing. And the only game I own that has that mechanic that's not a bag builder like Orlean is Black Friday from Freedom and Freeze. So I'd be interested to see what else you could do with it. I
really don't have anything. My favorite game that's like that would be Village.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's got an element to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different than that. But yeah, you still pull the colored cubes out so to choose what your action or for the places. But... So I don't think I have anything actually in my collection that I can think of off the top of my head that uses that type of element. So that would fit right in. Perfect.
Yeah, that's always more welcome,
my wallet.
Right? Yeah, that's one I haven't paid for yet, so.
Right, yeah, exactly. I did not see this on the Spiel list, so cool. Thank you.
Yeah. What's your next one?
We were talking a little bit about Pandemic. And Matt Leacock had also done Thunderbirds, which I have not got to play yet. But I am interested in playing mostly for nostalgia and see what they did with it. But I see on here that there is an expansion called The Hood coming out for it.
Okay.
And I just thought this was kind of interesting because I didn't think it did that well in the post-market or post-Kickstarter to warrant an expansion. I
didn't think so either. Just my personal experience with it is that I've never seen an episode of the Thunderbirds, so it's not hitting on my nostalgia. And I was wondering how large the audience was for the Thunderbirds, like how many people actually watched and cared about it. I know of a few, like I know Suze really was digging on the theme and stuff like that, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, it was the price tag mostly. I mean, it had a lot of great pieces and lots of plastic in there for a co-op.
Yeah.
But it was mostly the price. I was interested, but I wasn't interested at that price level to dive into it.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, it did very well on Kickstarter. I just didn't think it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't think it did that well in the aftermarket to warrant an expansion. So that's cool.
To be fair, though, people are putting out expansions for things that are not doing that well. So that's been the thing the last year or so. Just pump out a bunch of expansions and hope that someone wants them.
But that doesn't make business sense.
Well,
if there's not the demand for it, unless you're hoping it creates a demand by fixing something.
I think that's what it is a lot of the time. I don't think that's the case in Thunderbirds. As far as I have read, the Thunderbirds is a pretty complete package on its own. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that that's the case, but I think a lot of the times it is.
Yeah, that could be. Just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who is interested, because I did not know there was an expansion for it.
Oh, that's great. On that tip, if you want to talk about, it's not an expansion, it's a re-implementation, but I'm actually really excited for Fields of Green, which is the new version of Among the Stars.
Oh, This just was on Kickstarter, right?
Yes, Artipia Games is doing it, and I think they're co-publishing with someone. But Fields of Green is among the stars, but in a farm. So they kind of pulled a Imperial Settlers on this one. Right? They took their kind of wonky space theme and they put it into a little farming game with brighter art and kind of lighter tone. There are some differences, and Among the Stars for me, I've played it 3 or 4 times, maybe at most. I thought it was as close as I've come to a drafting heavy game that I enjoyed. I don't generally like drafting heavy games, so I liked Among the Stars. I liked the building next to each other. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Suburbia, and I quite liked that. So this time they're going to have different types of cards that'll come out with different like things that go off. They're going to have different card types are going to be in separate decks that you choose from instead of just shuffling everything together. And it's not going to be as strict about where you put your resources like in Among the Stars. So I thought that those were some interesting changes.
I really enjoyed Among the Stars.
Good, yeah.
I mean, I like Seven Wonders, and I love Seven Wonders at 6 and 7 players, and that drafting mechanic I always find interesting, just because of the decision of what do I keep and what do I pass, hoping that it doesn't help your opponent too much. So I did see this on Kickstarter, and I didn't read a lot into it because I already have Among the Stars, so I was like. And it hasn't gotten a lot of play lately, so I was like, But it does look interesting.
Yeah, I didn't back the Kickstarter, but it was from a company that I know will come out to stores.
Yes.
And if I'm going to make a decision on a Kickstarter, that most definitely comes into play for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's coming to the store anyway. I'll have to order it.
Artipia Games and Stronghold Games are both listed as publishers, so... Okay,
yeah. They had like a strategic agreement about it, I think. So Stronghold is helping Artipia bring it to the States.
Which I believe they've done that. They were the ones that did that with Among the Stars as well.
Yeah.
Looks interesting. 2 to 4 players. 30-minute playing time, but it seems Among the Stars was a little bit longer than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least 45 to an hour.
Yeah, so it says 30-minute playing time, at least on the Board Game Geek page.
Do you think maybe they're trying to go mass market?
Could be.
Because
it would have more that theme would definitely have that appeal, and if that's the range that they are hitting is trying to hit is a 30-minute time, which 30 to 45 minutes, and I could totally see that.
Yeah, you saying that, and I'm like, oh no, not 30 minutes. Well, it's just like, can you really build an engine that's satisfying in 30 minutes? I don't know.
Oh my goods.
It's on the line. I know. There are so few games that short that I enjoy. that makes it so much less likely for me. Oh no.
Well, maybe they just got the playing time wrong.
Yes, let's hope. Maybe it's 30 minutes a player.
Right.
Give me a 2-hour-long drafting game.
Oh. There's been a lot of talk in and out, as typical of Fantasy Flight with games. They'll talk about a game for a little bit, and then it kind of falls off the radar, and then comes back. And the one that's now coming back is an expansion for Letters from Whitechapel. I know they talked about this almost like 2 years ago, it seems like forever ago. It, like I said, kind of fell off the radar, and now it's back on the Essen released here, and I want this. I really enjoy Letters from Whitechapel.
Well, and Paul Grogan has been working his little butt off to try and get this to market because he's been helping with the rule book and the graphic design, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay,
and so
cool.
I'm really excited for it to come out, and it looks really good.
Yes.
I can say that Sherlock Holmes has been in print a lot more lately, which is nice because it would go out of print for months and months and months at a time. And so it's nice to see it kind of getting more attention lately.
The Consulting Detective Sherlock Holmes, that one?
Yeah.
And I just played the first investigation of Mythos Tales, since you brought up Consulting Detectives, which same style, except for it's Lovecraftian.
Of course, because Cthulhu.
Right. Well, it was originally a print and play. I think it's by the same designer who did.
I'm sure.
Because it was a print and play, Arkham Investigations, I think it was called. Print and play. And then 8 Summit Games ended up picking up and expanding it into like 8 different investigations. And put it up on Kickstarter and print it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That one passed me by, apparently. Cthulhu and storytelling and all that, like, oh boy.
But you like Consulting Detective?
I did as a solo experiment. I didn't really care for it in a big group, and the printed number of players on that box is 7.
Yeah, 2 to 8.
Or 8.
Or 1 to 8 on the, for Mythos Tales at least. So I'm assuming the same. And
I'm telling you, how awkward is it to sit around a big old table of people quietly figuring things out?
Right.
Let's all quietly get together and read.
Yeah. We did Mythos Tales. The first investigation was just 3 players. And everything was open. And I think Mythos Tales is built to be a little bit more open, everybody working together. There's no, I don't know if Sherlock Holmes has like the one person can score better. Can one person score better than another in Sherlock Holmes?
We didn't use that if they did.
Okay.
We just kind of we just wanted to beat Sherlock.
Right, exactly. So, and you got the same type of thing. You have one, I don't remember the NPC's name that you're trying to do better, be more efficient as him. But with the 3 of us, we had a lot of fun trying to talk through stuff and hopping to places and hoping that those were places that we wanted to go and figuring it out. So at 8, no interest with 8 players, but at 2, 3, and 4,
right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what a smaller experience for just quietly reading to ourselves and talking about stuff is more fun for me. Because in 8 players, you're going to get that dynamic of you have an idea and you have to speak up enough to be heard and blah, blah, blah. It's not a fun game night for me.
No, I agree.
Okay, so this is one. So if any of y'all are out there, we have Extra Life coming up on November 5th. We will be streaming out here in Seattle at Card Kingdom's Twitch channel and Mox Boarding House's Twitch channel. And for our lovely stream, I have procured a copy of The Mask of Anubis.
Ooh.
Have you seen this?
I have.
Okay, so The Mask of Anubis...
Well, I haven't seen the box. I've seen pictures.
Right. So what it reminded me of was Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which was a video game that came out at PAX a couple years ago.
I'm not familiar
and
with that
so somebody wears the Mask of Anubis, puts their little cell phone into this dog head mask, and looks around this cave and tries to describe the wonders of the cave to the other players who will have cardboard chits to try and escape or whatever and get points and things. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. So I have a wonderful friend who is going to bring this back from Essen for me so I can play on the stream, because nothing will be funnier than making me wear a VR mask and trying to describe things with words. It's a horrible idea.
No, that sounds like a very funny idea.
Yeah. The things we do for the kids here.
Right.
But that is Extra Live on November 5th. If anyone is around, we will have a stream going 24 hours and a chat, and you can come harass us and make us play stupid things.
Yes, I did see that. That looks funny. And that is one of those games that you definitely have to have the right setting and the right people to play well.
I normally wouldn't purchase something like that. I would just hope that somebody else would have the goofy thing in the room, but somebody had to do it. Somebody needed to get it here.
That's right.
Well, and if we're all sitting around in onesies and stuff, it's going to be so much funnier in an Anubis mask. That's all I wanted.
Right.
Yes.
I know you've already kickstarted, and I'm actually surprised you haven't brought it up yet.
I'm trying to be subtle if I can.
Tramways.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay.
Right.
I did not kick Tramways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not kickstart it. It just wasn't the budget at the time, but I am very interested in playing it, so I'll have to play your copy when you get it.
Yeah. I'm super excited. Tramways was insta-back. Anything Alvin Bjard touches at this point, he just has such a weird sense of spatial reasoning that I am not very skilled at, but I find intriguing. And this is continuing his line of games. So he did Town Sitter, and he did Clinique, and then Small City, and now he has this Tramways coming out, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. I have not even read the rulebook, which normally I would have if I backed something on Kickstarter. I don't need to, right?
Right. So, yeah, I love once again, go back to the artwork, and it had some interesting mechanics I remember from the Kickstarter, and when I saw it listed, I'm like, sweet, this is coming out this year. When are you supposed to have your Kickstarter copy? Any idea?
Probably right after Essen. That's how he usually rolls.
Okay.
Like, he's just one guy.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you've seen an update as of lately, so.
I don't. So I treat Kickstarter like Christmas. I just get stuff in the mail sometimes.
Yep.
Because otherwise I get really, like, sad if I don't get it, or, like, if other people get it first. So until I start seeing Twitter pictures of people with their copies, I don't stress about it.
It's even gotten to the point, it's like, wait, didn't I back that? Now I have to go back and look and see what pledge level I actually did back it, see if I backed it for a copy or not, if I just backed the $1.
I've totally done that. Like, I'll see it shipping to a store, and I'm like, I swear I backed that.
Right?
No, it was just $1. Got me again.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And for you?
Okay, so this is the one that I'm going to mention that I know the least about. And it's just because it's so big and crazy and weird. And that is called the Colonists.
I saw this.
Did you see this one at all?
Yes. I saw it as I was cruising through.
Okay, so this is Lookout Games and Mayfair Games. It is a big old heavy box of stuff. It's from a new designer. His name is Tim Poles, if I'm not mistaken.
No, wait, this is a different one than I looked at.
Oh no, this is the Colonists.
Oh, the Colonists. No, the one I saw was Colony by Bizer Games.
Oh, no, that's not the one I was talking about. This is the Colonists, and as far as I know, this is going to be like a scenario-based resource management Euro.
Oh,
like
sweet.
A Civ builder.
Okay.
But with lots and lots of different scenarios, so it's like a big old box of rules, of which I've not powered through yet. So I'm hoping it'll come out with a little bit more fanfare and maybe some videos, so I can just check out from there. But it does look really interesting. It looks like it could be a Civ builder that kind of builds on itself as you play over time, and I would be very interested in that. But just with the publisher is Mayfair and Lookout, for the most part, when they come out with like something like a heavy Euro, I will pay attention. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I think more so because Lookout's name is on there. For me,
it's not Mayfair, it's Lookout.
Mayfair, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agreed. It's not Mayfair, it's Lookout.
Yeah.
But they're one and the same, so I have to be kind of...
Well, are they one and the same, or are they two? Well,
yeah, they're different brands under the same...
under the same banner?
Yeah.
Same parent company?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Everybody's bought by everybody else.
Right.
That's how it works now.
Mayfair Games is the parent company, I'm assuming?
I think so.
Okay.
I think this happened the last couple of years as well. I think they bought Lookout like 2 years ago.
I was not aware of that. Okay.
I think. It's so hard because it's not like, that's not common knowledge. It's not something that's just like written on their websites or anything. You just have to catch that one press release that one time.
Yes, exactly. And this does look interesting because the other one that was the Colony, which was by Bizer Games or
Bezier.
Yeah, Bezier. That looked pretty interesting too.
From what I heard, it's not going to be for me, and that's a lot of dice in that box, Jason.
Is there?
There's a lot of dice. Colony was at Sasquatch Game Day I attended, and most of the people that played it told me a little bit about their play experience, and it just didn't quite do it for me.
Didn't quite for you?
No.
Fair enough.
What's next on your list?
Yokohama.
Yay.
I backed this one, so I've already paid for this one.
It's a good feeling.
Right? Just looks beautiful, and I can't wait to dive into the rule book. I'm not much one for... I like to get the game before I read the rule books generally. I may peruse it if it's on Kickstarter, but I just rather wait till I can open up the box, smell the cardboard, and open the rule book.
I can tell you from firsthand experience, Yokohama is fantastic. It is so good. someone, unfortunately or fortunately, told me it was very similar to Istanbul, which was a Rudiger Dorn game from a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Istanbul was perfectly serviceable, but Yokohama is like a much more strategic experience. It was so good.
I heard that the worst part about Istanbul was basically because the tiles were random, so you could have some games where there was actually a go-to route almost.
Well, it's all about identifying that route, but there were only like 2 scoring, I'll put that in quotation, scoring tiles, and every game ended with those 2 scoring tiles, and it was just really, really samey from one game to another. The rest of the game made sense and everything, but it was just, it didn't hold up over multiple plays, and I never did play the Mocha expansion that they put out. But Yokohama, it's much more about, it's similar to a worker placement game because you're going to be walking around the board trying to do stuff, but the other thing you need to think about is how you can block other people because they can't land on the same space as you at the same time. So if you can line up something that's good for you and bad for them, that's ideal.
Double whammy.
That's the dream.
Right.
So I don't know if it has 1 million plays in it for me, but it definitely has the 6 to 8 that I look for.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 to 4 players, so 90 minutes playing time, which I'm sure that's easily probably 2 hours, especially it looked like it was a beast to set up, so.
No, you'll be fine. It's not that heavy.
No, I don't mean heavy, but just look like there's a lot of stuff to set up for it.
90 minutes, you'll be fine. It's a couple of decks to shuffle. You're fine.
Right? Excited to see that. Can't wait to see that on my doorstep.
Yeah. My next one, so this is the weird one, right? So there's a guy that did the game Ponzi Scheme a couple years ago, Jesse Lee. He made a game called Guns and Steel. And the Pegasus Spiel booth this year is releasing this Guns and Steel game as the Through the Ages card game.
Oh.
So I want to play it now because I didn't play Guns and Steel. And Through the Ages is already kind of a card game, but I'm very interested to see why they linked the 2 brands together.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Because it's not Czech Games who does Through the Ages for the States, and then Eagle Griffin who does Through the Ages through the States. It is just Pegasus Spiel, and their publishing partners are not usually either of those 2 companies. It's just a whole weird mix of rights and stuff flying around.
Are they using the same art as well? You know, same style of art and everything?
I don't think so. I can't find, I at the time that I wrote my geek list out, I couldn't find art that wasn't branded with Guns and Steel, which was from the Taiwan Design Group.
Right.
So I don't know if Pegasus Spiel did all new art or just the cover or, what they did. It's just a weird one for me. It's on my list because I just want to, know more about it later.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that is interesting since there's no actual tie-ins. That's why I was asking about art, if it was just happened to be used the same name or if they were actually using that same tie-in.
I don't know. It's all a mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh My Goods. I haven't got a chance to play Mombasa, but I love Oh My Goods. And I am excited to see this Great Western Trail by Alexander. It's always kind of curious to me when somebody who isn't from the United States does a take on something our genre, like Vincent doing the Lewis and Clark games and hitting them right dead on. To me is kind of cool. So to see Alexander tackle the Great Western Trail, it is intriguing to me. And it's Alexander, so I
find that especially German and French designers have this obsession with Westerns. They love that American frontier Western.
Come on, Italian Westerns are the best.
Yeah, but for us here in the States, there are a lot of tribal issues that go along with that I don't often feel that they address.
Right.
So, you mentioned both the Lewis and Clark and Discoveries, right?
Yeah.
Discoveries had freaking dice in it called Indian dice.
Yeah.
I had issues.
Right. And they had the red meeples for Indians in Lewis and Clark.
Well, and think of a game like Waka Tonka or something. So it can be done well. It can be done respectfully. I just don't always trust it because I don't think it doesn't hit home for them. They don't have Aboriginal people anymore in Europe. Like, that's just not a thing that they've ever had to think about being respectful toward.
Yeah.
And we had these amazing cultures where we are that got completely wiped off the face of the earth. So we have to be really, really, really careful about being respectful and remembering what we've done.
Well, and
I worry. As soon as I see Westerns, I'm like, oh no!
Well, and the fact that our country is so much newer than what theirs is, too.
Totally.
It's still way fresh for us as opposed to...
That's a totally great point. I mean, because they totally wiped each other off the country a few times. Like,
well, yeah.
France and
I mean,
England
how many
and
times
Russia.
did the English wipe out the Celts during, the purges and yeah.
Yeah,
So, but that was a long time before the U.S. even became a country. So
we are babies. We are
yes,
new.
we are. But this is more about being a rancher, though, and heading your cattle and getting them from one place to another. So.
It's just that if they included an event deck or something, that's when I'm always worried. It's that deck of cards that could just come up and be like, nah, things are bad. I just don't trust it anymore. I have to be really, really, really cautious of that particular one theme.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I will rain on that parade until I see the game. But, I mean, he is on fire. Alexander Pfister, like, killing it. Everything. Amazing.
Yeah.
Although Mombasa had some thematic issues, too, so I don't know.
Yeah, true. Touche.
Colonizing Africa is not a great theme either.
Yeah. Touche.
But on light and shadower news, my next game, did you ever play Hyperborea?
I have not got a chance to, no.
The expansion is coming out. So Hyperborea was kind of the kid's sister version of Orlean. It was a bag builder, came out the same year, almost double the price. So it was a $100 board game. Tons of little like plastic minis for no good reason. It was a really fun game. I quite love it, but it had a lot of like $100 and minis and stuff, but it was actually just a pretty simple bag building Euro. So Orlean was just clean and simple and wonderful. So I'm excited to see a little bit more content for this game.
What were the miniatures used for in it?
Well, it was a board, so you started in a starting area and you went out and tried to control area. So it could be called a minis game. It was similar to you definitely had to move around the board and take over stuff, but it was just super high production for a game that's not, I line up my guys and we roll dice at each other or anything. It was just like, if I walk into your space and I've got bigger guys, then your guys die and that kind of stuff.
So they took a page out of Fantasy Flight's notebook and we need miniatures just because.
Yeah, it was like
some big, expansive, 30 million chits and...
Right. It was like a bad version of a Maggibot game where they always just, they make a pretty board game. I don't care what game it is, but it's always going to be gorgeous. This was almost there, and it was almost really pretty, and it was almost a great game, and it was just so, so, so close that I'm excited just to get a little bit more, because it sounds like it's going to be a new type of dude, because before you had different types of dudes, and you would pull the cubes out, and you would add them to your board, and once an ability was full, you could clear it off to take the action.
Oh, okay.
And so you're building the different colors that go into it to fuel those abilities. And so if they added new cards, especially because one of the types of cards was extremely powerful compared to the others, I'm looking forward to trying it.
Oh, okay, cool. Power Grid.
The card game. I'm excited too.
How? I don't know. It kind of looks like it might have the Among the Stars, the Field, and the Field of Greens spatial reasoning to it.
I know that the auction stays the same.
Okay.
But the resources changed a little bit. Did you see that? So in this one, normally in Power Grid, you every round you're going to add a certain amount of resources to the pool, and that just tells you what's available and what the prices are. In this one, you pull out cards that will have resources printed on them and a price for them.
Oh.
And it's not quite the same, you just choose based on what resources you have and which power plants you have, you decide what you're going to fuel and what money you're going to take. So there's nothing on a board anymore.
And this looks like it might run into the problem we have with Castles of Burgundy, the card game. It may not take up any less table space.
It's true.
So, but I am curious. I love Power Grid, and once again, I like to see an adaptations just to see if people can pull it off. And so, I 2 to 6 players.
Right. Again, it just looks amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many more. I don't want to it's like we're not going too overtime here.
Okay, well, real quick, I want to ask you. I thought AEG dropped the Doomtown license or dropped not making anymore because I see the Blood Moon Rising expansion for it.
Which I've got to assume. So I saw it too, and they did drop the Doomtown license. So my assumption now is that this was the last one maybe they developed.
But if they dropped it, why would you announce dropping it and then go, oh, yeah, by the way, we had this one more a year later that we did have in the works?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're supposed to be the inside here.
That's very true. But unfortunately, that one was one where I saw it in the preview and I was like, I'm not even touching that. I was just like, I thought you
played Doomtown Reloaded.
I played Doomtown through the first couple of saddlebags, and the community here slumped off a little bit, and something shiny came along, and I still have my 2 base sets and a lot of saddlebags, but yeah, it just, I have yet to find a LCG or any other type of game like that interests me like Magic does. So I'm still looking. I like Doomtown a lot, but it's not as good as Magic.
So I thought you might know something about that because I just thought it was interesting. It was on the list. I'm like, wait, I thought AEG dropped this. Wait, no,
but AEG did announce their Mystic Vale expansion for October, so we're all good.
Yes, they did.
We're all good.
Yeah. Even though the one time I played that, I totally screwed my cards up, so that's okay.
Oh, no.
Well, not I screwed them up, but when I was building it, I made accidentally not thinking about it. I bought one and went, oh, hey, that cancels that out. Oh, wait, great. I got a 0 card that has 2 slots. That was freaking smart.
And it's hard because after I played a certain number of games and I would be teaching new players, I would just crush them.
You're right.
Because as soon as you know the cards, that game gets a lot easier.
I'm sure. I am curious. I don't know if it's on the list here, and I don't remember the name of it, but I am curious to see the game that they're building that mechanic into.
Something of Darkness.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've forgotten it. I did know this, if you'd asked me before this podcast.
Right.
It is Something of Darkness, and it looks fantastic. I got to see a little bit of what they were doing when I was at Gen Con. I was asked not to speak about it, so I'm hoping that they will talk about it soon.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I didn't get to play test or anything, I just got to kind of play around with a couple of the bits on it. But it looked really neat. There's some cool stuff on it. The next one I thought was kind of interesting. Let's see. The big one that I'm frustrated with. So there is a new expansion for Targi.
Oh, yes, I saw this.
And it's a woman pawn that walks around the outside, and whenever you use that space, you get an extra bonus. But at this time, they're not planning on putting it into English.
What?
So it'll be German only with paste ups because that game is language dependent. So I'm super frustrated about it because Targi sells well at my shop. It's a fantastic game, and I want it. So
I haven't got a chance to play Targi. It's on my list to buy for 2-player games.
It is so good.
I know, that's what everybody keeps telling me, so it keeps pushing it up there. I just haven't got a chance to pick it up because there's always some other shiny. But I did see that expansion. I'm like, that looks cool. That looks like it adds.
Targi, even if you have a few minutes to play it online, the online implementation is really good.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's really solid, and just such a smart, clever, fun game.
Yeah.
Can't stress it enough. Oh my gosh. So the expansion is coming out. I am sad for the designer because yeah.
Now you made me sad. I was excited when I saw it. Now I'm sad.
So I know a lot of people in my life are going to be purchasing it in German and then doing the paste ups, but that means also buying the base in German and doing paste ups. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm down for that, especially because I don't usually play a lot of expansions.
And you don't play a lot of 2-player games on top of that.
True. All of these things are true, but I play an okay amount of Targi. Like, if I find time to play a 2-player game, I'll play some Targi.
It's got to come out over here.
I know. I don't understand why they wouldn't. Like, Tames and Cosmos doesn't have that many games anyway, so...
Maybe it's a because you'd have, for a print run, you'd have to have a whole other different print run, so maybe it's just about money, not having enough money to do it.
That's very true. Because
if that's the bad thing about a language-dependent game is if it is, not only you got the rule book you have to reprint, reprint the cards to redo, reprint, or tiles or whatever. So it's a little bit on the costly side to do that. I bet you it comes down to money because it usually does.
I know.
But it is very sad, yes. I'm always a sucker for programming games just because they're chaotic. And there's a new expansion for Colt Express.
Okay. What's this one add? More characters?
Marshal and prisoners. And this adds something that's kind of cool that it says the Marshal has got 4 hidden and random objectives he must achieve to win the game so somebody can play the Marshal. I mean, come on. That's like almost a one versus them, in a already an all chaotic game. It does add another chaotic. Yes. It is so much fun. It's definitely one of those games I want to play at 4, 5, and 6 players. I think it's 6. Does it go 5?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's 1 million players.
And it's not strategic by any means. It's just fun. It's just fun to do your moves and see what the hell happens. Adds another character, May, a martial arts lady. It adds a prison wagon. So players can free prisoners, and that is added at the end of the train. Like I said, the one player can play as Marshal, and freeing junior bandits from the prison car gains their help, i.e. a second ability for your character.
Wow, okay.
So it seems to add quite a bit for a pretty... it's not quite a party game, but to me, it's like a step above a party game as far as complexity, because it would be hard to teach non-gamers it.
Yeah, I just call them gamer party games.
Yeah.
Like, they're party games for gamers.
Yeah.
Like when you can handle like the 6 rules or whatever.
So I saw this on the list. I'm like, oh, that is totally cool because that adds quite a bit for an expansion. I mean, they could easily just added a character and something else and be done, but this adds quite a bit to it. So
I want to add that in no way is this list in order in any way, shape, or form, because I'm pretty excited about everything we've been talking about.
Yes.
But I wanted to mention Fuji Flush. Do you know this? Fuji Flush?
Fuji, huh?
It's one of the new... So Stronghold Games is putting this out as Fuji Flush. It has a different name in German. It's a Freedom and Freeze game, as you can tell by the Fs. So they're doing Fabled Fruit and Fuji Flush this season.
Gotcha.
Fuji Flush has, like, the coolest backstory, and it's just, like, a simple hand management game similar to, like, a Six Nimmt, which I really like, those, like, silly little, like, card games.
Right.
So what he did with Fuji Flush in its previous life, he designed a card game, and then he just started, like, anonymously mailing it out to people. So he sent copies out all over Europe, trying to give people small hints by, like, the postage, where it was coming from, and those types of things. He also, when he went to the Gathering of Friends out in Niagara Falls, he put them on, like, the donation prize table, but without a signed name to it. And he was hoping that people would try the game and it would, like, catch on, and there would be this buzz about, like, who made this game? And unfortunately or fortunately, he failed the, like, threshold of a little bit more marketing that he needed, so only one review came out about this anonymous game.
Aww.
I feel so bad. He's like, but it's such a cool game, and I just wanted to do something silly and fun with it. So it's such a cool story, and so Stronghold Games is putting this out, and I really, really like those, like, simple card games, so I'm very excited to try it.
Cool.
Non-reliable sources that work at Stronghold Games have told me it's amazingly fun, so can only take that with, like, a grain of salt, but I'll take it anyway, because they generally have good representations of the types of games they're putting out. Like, even if it's not a game for me, it's still a good version of a game.
Solid game.
They always put out solid games. And they have Fog of War coming out too. They have a bunch of games this season, so I will stick with my Terraforming Mars. Yeah.
real quick, one that I've already purchased. It's on the list, but I don't. But then again, it's not coming out till next year technically. So, but Anachrony.
Oh yeah. I backed that on Kickstarter.
So did I. Yeah, that's why I said it's already paid for.
Cool.
So. I don't think it's not even in the print yet that I know of, but it is on the list, even though it's not till next year. I just want to throw that out there because I can't wait till that comes out.
So Anachrony is it's the coolest use of the thought of time travel that I've heard of in a game, because basically when you're walking around, you're like, man, I could use, I don't know the resources in the game, so I'm just going to say, oh man, I could use 2 stone. I'm going to go back in time and make it where I would have made that 2 stone at some point. So, like, that's literally in the game where you, like, go back in time and make sure you did the thing. I really love that.
Yeah, the concept and hopefully the mechanic works as well as in game as it does on paper. Mind Clash games did Tricarion. I love Tricarion, so I'll definitely. I threw money at them for a Tricarion Kickstarter, and they passed, so I did it for this one too.
Well, and for I think it was $20 extra, me the sucker, you could get this giant mech thing.
Yep, that's probably absolutely not necessary, right?
It was totally not necessary. I literally wasn't even gonna do it, and
I don't know who talked you into that.
It wasn't you even. I was in a private message with my friend Seb, I think, and he pushed me over the line.
Well, you asked me about it.
I know.
Yeah,
I was
I had to do the same thing.
convinced. And then you had to choose your faction.
Right.
It was so cool. They did such a good job of that, and I don't usually fall into those little tricks, but I let myself fall into that trick.
The only complaint I have with Mind Clash games is box-covered sleeves. We don't need them. Just get rid of them. If your art is that ugly on the box that you got to cover it with a sleeve, then I suggest you change the art.
I liked, so Nautilus Industries had a cool box cover sleeve, and I'm looking forward to the Roxley game, the Santorini. I'm looking forward to the white sleeve on that.
They're annoying.
I don't know.
They're annoying.
When you put a game into a vertical bag, well, if you put a game into a vertical bag and you're carrying it around and you take one game out of the bag, you don't want your stuff falling all over the place.
There's rubber bands. They're easier to get on.
Rubber bands on your games?
It's better than an annoying sleeve that you got to fight to get on and off.
I like how you're sleeve problem. You're sleeve deficient. I have zero problems putting a sleeve onto a box. I'm just gonna put that out there.
It's just annoying. Just saying.
The Euphoria one, I beat the hell out of that sleeve, so I gotta hope that protected my game.
Nah.
Because I resold it.
No, they're just to me just annoying. They just. I
get it. It's sort of like people that add a layer of film in between the rule book and the pieces. I'm like, okay, that's just gonna get beat up and be gone in no time. But
right.
There's so many games left. I literally could just do this all day. One that I don't know a lot of the mechanics for yet. Key to the City, London. It's the new one in the key line from Richard Breeze, and I have enjoyed the thought of all of the key games that I've played. Keyflower took me a few games to convince me that it was as good as I was hoping it would be, and it's just because it had a horrible downtime problem. So this is the next one.
Okay,
and
cool.
That's Hook and Friends, and usually in the States those come out as a what are they called?
I see Game Salute's name as a
Game Salute.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of in the back of our heads hoping that they may consider going through someone else at some point. But it might happen, it might not. I still really like the whole line of their games, and I like Richard Breeze and how he works on games and how he develops them, so I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah, I don't want to give my money to Game Salute.
That's why we buy the Hook and Friends.
I know.
That's why importers exist. That's why Funnigan games exist.
Right. I got really only two more. I forgot about this one.
I have a million more. Okay.
So I don't know a lot about this one. It just caught my attention because it reminded me of a video game, actually. It's called Motion Pictures, Movies Out of Cardboard.
Okay.
And
I'm Googling now.
It's designer Alexandros. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Cappadocus, maybe? I don't know. I suck at names, so.
Oh, no.
There was a video game by Lion's Head, I believe it was. It's called Movies, and basically you were making your own movie.
Okay.
You're renting a studio, making your own movie. And this is that same concept, except for this is more like a tableau builder. And it just had that kind of same look, same art style as that. When I was just flipping through, I'm like, oh, that looks cool, because it hit right there. It uses a hand management mechanism with strong set collection and deck building elements.
Okay. Players
can choose from 3 actions: shoot, so like shoot your movie, hire, and then recast. It just looks interesting, and it is a different type of theme. So it's a light to medium game. It is 2 to 4 players, plays in that 30 to 45 minute range. Draw Lab Entertainment.
So I'm seeing this one, and then the designer's pretty new, and it's not a terribly well filled out BGG entry. No. I'll be interested to hear what you think. It has that almost Kickstarter aesthetic for me, where the symbols are mini and not really easy to see or anything, because they only have one example on there of just some cards. I look forward to seeing if I find a copy, but
if I find a copy and if it comes out over here, it just looked it caught my attention as I was flipping through it. So
the one that I have that reminded me kind of a movie was called Capital Lux from Aporta Games. Did you see that one? It's another drafting game, which I always keep trying these drafting games, hoping that I'll like one of them.
Capital Luck, you said?
Capital Lux, Lux.
Oh, Lux.
And so this one is a drafting game where you draft a hand of either 5 or 6 characters, and then you play one, or you play one into like the middle, and it's once you've drafted everything, you're trying to do like area control. And the aesthetic is really beautiful, and it's tiny enough and cheap enough where I just kind of bought it on a whim. I think it looks pretty fun.
So it has Aporta Games. What else have they done?
Not a whole lot. Yeah. So
I'm not familiar with that publisher.
They do have a few titles, but the art is also Kwanchai, the artist out of California, I think. He did like the Catacombs one. So the Aporta Games is the Doodle City game company. Doodle China, Doodle City.
Okay.
They also did Automania, which I just now realized.
Oh, okay.
And then they have a new game called Avenue coming out, and Avenue is like a 1 to 8 or 1 to 12 player family game or something. Oh, I saw it on their list too. But so Aporta is pretty new. They're all kind of new, and Capital Lux just had a certain something to it for me.
I love that cover.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. It looks like something out of Tron, but with a lady.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm willing to try it. It's got some interesting bits too, and there are discussions online about the rules, which for a lot of these Spiel games, like they don't have rule books or any kind of discussion about. So you're all going on who's the designer and what are their background, and hopefully that's good.
Right. Yeah.
It's nice when you have a little bit more.
It seems to be more that way this year than it has been in previous. And I don't know if that's just because there's so many games.
If this feels just like it did last year for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last one I have at the moment is the Iberia Pandemic.
Okay. Fair enough.
Going back to that. Yeah, it looked cool. I like the artwork, and it's Pandemic. That and it's collectors. It's limited edition, which I thought was kind of interesting that they were making a limited edition. What that exactly means, who knows? I've seen limited editions available of things for 10 years. So,
right.
But the fact that it's a historic setting this time is intriguing to me. Pandemic will be the monopoly of games where they'll be just reskinned with different themes. No.
It's fine. It's because it's in that co-op range. I just don't play them very much, so I'm excited for you all that do. I'm super glad for all you. If I want to do one last game. So I do have a geek list up on Meeples Included's Board Game Geek profile. It's Meeples included on Board Game Geek. There is a geek list for the Spiel 2016. It's got about 45 items on it. The last one I will mention, and this is Railroad Revolution. So this is a What's Your Game title, and What's Your Game has done Zango and Nippon and Madeira and Oddville.
Yes.
And they make games that are built for me. So when they say they're going to make a game called Railroad Revolution, I'm just like, okay, sure, bring it on.
Take my money.
Right. That being said, I know it's still being play tested. It is September. Essen happens in a matter of weeks, and it was being play tested as of like last week. So I'm excited to see what could happen. I just don't have all of my hopes up for it. But it is the same designers as Zango, which A++ on that game. I love that game. I just don't know much about Railroad Revolution yet. I know that you are making a railroad company and you are trying to compete to be like the biggest railroad tycoon in America. And you build up workers like, as far as I know, it's similar to the way that Rococo works, that you have like a role selection type element to it and that you want to like make your workers better over time. So all of those things sounds really good.
That sounds really good. Who designed Nippon?
Nippon is the same designers as Madeira and Panamax. That is Nuno and
That's right.
You're asking me questions and I'm failing. Oh no.
I guess I could have looked it up, but I figured you'd know.
I know, but now I'm failing. Nippon, good golly. It's Neo Sentiero and Paulo Soledad. They are some of the best Portuguese designers coming up right now, and doing the voting and everything, their games don't qualify for the Portugal Game of the Year, but generally speaking, all of the games that they make should be in that category. So I really, really love what they're doing with What's Your Game and everything else.
This looks cool.
This Railroad Revolution?
The Railroad Revolution looks really cool, yeah.
Right?
It's
but like I said, like,
no
info.
Minutes. Yeah. No. Once again, we have nothing. No eBay listing. Damn it.
Well, and I'm sorry, I was cutting you off, but you said 45 to 90 minutes, which is a huge amount of time, right? Like between 45 and 90.
Right, yeah.
Those are not similar time frames.
And I wonder if that's the difference between 2 to 4 players, too.
Sure.
I mean, think of Nippon. Nippon plays pretty quick when it's 2 of us, but with 4 players, that definitely takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So I could see that 45, 90 minutes, 2 to 4.
But I'm super psyched to try it. It does have that, and I apologize to anyone listening. What's Your Game? I love you, but your boards are ugly. So the board layout is another just kind of almost monochromatic board. They do this because I think it's because it makes the game easier to read and see, but all of their boards are like one note. So This one's a very yellow board. Yeah. It just has these big old squares all over it. And I almost wish that they had a little bit more art going on in their games, but otherwise I have zero complaints with their games.
Yeah, I can see that, but it's very efficient looking at it.
Yeah. And I like the little tableau across the bottom. They always have nice touches and stuff, and their cards are always usually really beautiful, but just the board itself.
This is definitely uglier than the Nippon board.
Nippon is one of their prettier ones, but the cover of Nippon doesn't sell what's inside it because the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the game itself is a little more muted.
I see what you're talking about. In fact, this kind of reminds me, looks-wise and color-wise, is like the Eldritch Horror board. It's just kind of black.
Sure.
It's just kind of there. But they do have the little nice touch with the boats and in the Midwest there, some stuff, so... Anyways, anything else you want to hit on before?
I could be here all night, honestly. We didn't even talk about like Jorvik or do we even hit on Solarius Mission? So there's a million really awesome games. I encourage everyone to take a look at Meeples Included's Spiel list because there are a crap ton of games that come out this time of year, and there are amazing ones that are coming out. So we will have to report back on some of the gameplay at some point.
Boy, definitely.
This is all just us drooling over the list right now.
Yeah. Then Soul is also listed on there, but I know that's not even close to being in production because Wash is doing the design, the rule book and stuff, but it's listed
like
on the
fourth
Essen
game I know named Soul. That's my problem, is I get them all stuck in my head.
SOL though?
Yeah. If you look it up on Board Game Geek, there's been a bunch. So I hope this one's great. I don't know anything about it. Good.
Soul Last Days. Oh no, there's 2 Souls. In fact, there's 2 Souls slated for 2016.
It is a good name for a board game, but it's confusing when people choose the same names for board games.
Somebody already grabbed it, so think of something else.
Right. There's got to be another thing you can call your game.
Well, I think that was a good round of discussion for games that we're looking forward to.
I think
That's
so, too.
a whole quick running of the bowls of the games.
That's right. Well, we are going to be on the lookout for all of these games, a lot of which were already backed on Kickstarter at some point, so they are going to start pouring in. I know Ave Roma is coming in any day now. I'm very, very excited to get my hands on it. For me, Maggibot, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Board Game Geek as Maggibot. I also run a collaborative site dedicated to mindfulness about inclusivity and diversity in board gaming, and that's called Meeples Included. So meeplesincluded.com. Meeples Included is also on Twitter and Facebook. Jason, give me a rundown of where we can find you.
You usually find me on Twitter at JA_Hancock. You can check out the PNCN.rocks website for my podcast, Docking Bay 94 podcast, as well as many others in our network. As What Did You Play This Week? And I forgot the others. Tatterboard, and I forgot what Craig's was. Oh, Botch Games. A lot of great stuff on there. Check it out.
This podcast is also helped out by my lovely Patreon backers on Patreon, and that is patreon.com/Maggibot. I am asking for dollars per month to help me with review copies as well as equipment, and it's going amazingly well. So if you follow me over there, you can get updates and everything straight to your inbox. I think that's all for us for now. We'll see you next episode. We're going to dive into probably some talk about how to teach games, I think, for our next one. We also have a possible guest. I didn't even tell Jason about this.
Ooh.
My friend Adrian actually put her thesis together around art and gaming and what those types of things mean and how they work.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to pick her brain at some point. So you might have to listen to other people.
I know how it works. If it's beautiful, I buy it.
Well, that thoughtful insight.
Done. Thesis done.
And we're done.
Right.
2-page thesis.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I think read that.
Yeah, she has an MFA, and so I told her, yeah, I want to pick your brain. She has an active art installation going on right now, actually. So
nice. And all post-production music you can find on incompetech.com.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. All right, well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
All right, see ya.